Have you ever imagined what a hunt would have looked like 120,000 years ago? For a long time, the popular picture was one of chaos, a large group of archaic humans, maybe Neanderthals, driving a massive herd of animals off a cliff. It's a dramatic image, but what if it's completely wrong? A groundbreaking new study from a site in Israel is flipping this old idea on its head, suggesting our ancient relatives were far more sophisticated and selective than we ever gave them credit for. This isn't just about hunting. It's a story that could rewrite our understanding of their intelligence, social structures, and even why they eventually disappeared. Let's travel back in time to the Middle Paleolithic, specifically to a place called Nesher Remla in the Levant. This region is a historical crossroads, a place where different human groups likely met for the first time. Around 120,000 years ago, archaic humans groups like the Neanderthals and other early members of the Homo genus roamed this landscape. It's also around this time that the first waves of anatomically modern humans, our direct ancestors, began migrating out of Africa. This sets the stage for a fascinating question. How did these different groups interact, and how did they compete for resources? Researchers digging at Nesher Ramla were looking for clues about the lives of these archaic people. They weren't just looking for tools. They were trying to piece together their behavior. And what they found in the layers of earth was a surprise. They uncovered the remains of large, powerful animals, wild cattle, known as aurochs, the ancestors of the cows we know today. But there was something strange about these bones. If the old mass slaughter theory was correct, you'd expect to find the remains of a whole herd, males, females, young, and old, all mixed together in a jumble at the bottom of a cliff or in a trap. But that's not what the evidence showed at all. Instead, the team found a very specific pattern. The bones belonged almost exclusively to prime-age adult aurochs. There were very few young calves or older, weaker animals. This is the first major clue that something different was going on. A mass kill event is indiscriminate. It takes whatever is in the herd. But this was the opposite. It was selective. The hunters were specifically targeting the strongest, healthiest, and most challenging animals in the herd. Why would they do that? Well, prime-age adults offer the most bang for your buck, more meat, more fat, more resources. But hunting them is also incredibly dangerous. Aurochs were huge, aggressive animals, far more formidable than modern cattle. Targeting them required skill, courage, and most importantly, a well-thought-out plan. This is where the story gets even more interesting. The researchers believe that these archaic humans weren't just running blindly at these massive beasts, they were strategic. The theory is that they practiced what's called ambush hunting. They would carefully select their target, a prime adult auroch, and then work to isolate it from the rest of the herd. Imagine a small, coordinated group of hunters silently tracking the herd, waiting for the perfect moment. They wouldn't charge the whole group. That would be suicide. Instead, they'd create a distraction or use the landscape to their advantage to separate one animal. Once the auroch was alone, the real hunt began. This kind of hunting requires incredible knowledge of animal behavior. The hunters needed to understand herd dynamics, predict how an animal would react, and know its weaknesses. It also points to a high level of cooperation. This wasn't a job for one person. It would have taken a team, communicating effectively and working together seamlessly to bring down such a powerful creature. Each member of the hunting party would have had a role, all executed with precision. This is a far cry from the brutish caveman stereotype. These were intelligent, organized hunters who planned their actions meticulously. They weren't just surviving. They were thriving by using their brains, not just their brawn. So how does this connect to modern humans, our ancestors who arrived on the scene later? The study suggests that while archaic humans were perfecting this small-scale, selective hunting of large game, modern humans were developing a different strategy. Archaeological evidence from other sites shows that Homo sapiens were more flexible. They hunted a wider variety of animals, from large game down to smaller creatures like gazelles, birds, and even tortoises. They were generalists. Instead of focusing all their energy on the high-risk, high-reward hunt of an auroch, they diversified their menu. This flexibility might have given them a critical advantage. Think about it from an ecological perspective. If your entire food supply depends on successfully hunting one type of large, dangerous animal, you're in a vulnerable position. What happens if the orc herds migrate away? What if a series of hunts fail? Your group could face starvation. But if you have a diverse diet, you're more resilient. If the big game is scarce, you can switch to hunting gazelles. If the gazelles are hard to find, you can hunt birds or collect shellfish. This adaptability is a key survival trait. Modern humans seem to have mastered this strategy, which allowed them to extract more food from the same landscape. Their populations could grow larger and become more stable. This leads to a compelling hypothesis about what happened when these two groups, the archaic specialists and the modern generalists, came to share the same territory. It might not have been a violent conflict or a direct confrontation. Instead, it could have been a slow, gradual process of being outcompeted. The archaic humans, with their specialized hunting strategy, were incredibly skilled, but they were also locked into a specific ecological niche. Modern humans, with their broader, more flexible approach, were simply more efficient at extracting energy from the environment. Over thousands of years, this slight edge in efficiency could have been enough to make a huge difference. The more adaptable modern humans thrived and expanded, while the more specialized archaic populations, like the Neanderthals, slowly dwindled. This study from Nesher Remla is so important because it challenges us to rethink the intelligence and capabilities of our extinct relatives. They weren't mindless brutes. They were master hunters with deep knowledge of their environment and complex social behaviors. Their strategy of selectively hunting prime-age aurochs was a testament to their skill and courage. But ultimately, in the grand story of human evolution, their specialization may have been their undoing when faced with the new kids on the block, the adaptable, generalist Homo sapiens. It's a powerful reminder that in nature, it's not always the strongest or the most specialized that survives, but the one most able to adapt to change. This research adds a crucial piece to the puzzle of human evolution, painting a much more nuanced and respectful picture of the archaic peoples who walked the earth before us. They weren't failures. They were a successful and intelligent branch of the human family tree whose story took a different path. It makes you wonder what other secrets are still buried beneath our feet, waiting to be discovered, and what other assumptions we hold might be completely wrong. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this journey back in time as fascinating as I did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into our ancient past. See you in the next video.